I'd like to say a thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to come and speak before the board today. Um, what I'd like to go over today, a little bit about myself, is who I am, a little bit about my teaching, a little bit about my research, a little bit about my service. So who I am, my educational background, I have a BBA from Ohio University. I came to Marshall, received a MBA back in 2000, and then I actually started in my career here at Marshall, but I'll get to that in a minute. And then I recently, 2019, finished my PhD at Kennesaw State University. So I've been around Marshall University now since January of 2001. I began, they had an opportunity to teach a business stats class, and they came and asked me if I'd be interested, or it was spread around that they were going to have the class, and I was interested in it. So I went and talked to Sean Kim at the time, and he gave me the opportunity to teach that class, and I guess I did a good job. The fall, they invited me to come back and interview and teach, and obviously, or kind of crazy, but teach marketing in the fall that year, and it started my full-time career at Marshall. So I've been teaching full-time in the College of Business since the fall of 2001. So a little bit about my teaching philosophy. So what I like to do in the classroom is I like to just provide an environment where students can learn, and I like to have students that are engaged and contributing. And I feel like the students need to feel like they are valued and their input is desired. And I do that because of two reasons. Number one, I'm a first-time graduate of college out of my family, which I hold dearly. And I know that a lot of our students at Marshall are first-time college students, so I can relate to those individuals. And then a few years ago, I was reading a book. It was about how to learn, basically, and how our brain is wired and how to learn. And one of the things that I took out of that book is if we come into the classroom with barriers, it's very difficult to learn. And I thought about, I usually teach business stats, and with that class, a lot of students come in with a lot of reservations, a lot of a lot of hesitations with the class. So I try to have a philosophy where I tell them the first day, I understand that some of you are concerned with the class, some of you may have problems, may not like math and things of that nature. So I tell them that it's an open class, they can ask a lot of questions, and I tell them that I want their input. And I tell students, I'll say, look, we usually have 30, 40 in a classroom, and I'll say, for each one of you, if you have a question, there's usually 5 to 7 that have the same question. So I all the time ask them to give me their input, ask their questions, and I think it helps because it creates a little bit of that desire to learn inside them also. So over my years at Marshall, I've taught quite a few courses. So I started out teaching marketing. So after the business stats class, so I taught principles of marketing and retail management or retail marketing. And then over the years, I taught a bunch of management marketing courses until finally landed in the management department. So you can see I taught principles of marketing, retail management, international marketing, intro to entrepreneurship. I've even taught FYS for the College of Business. Taught University 101 as a grad student. But my focus is in management. And you can see that I've taught a lot of courses over the management or in the management department over the years. But primarily the one I teach is business quantitative methods. I've also taught the introduction to business. A new class we had this summer that we've just started here in session 2 is management analytics. I quite frequently teach principles of management. I also teach business and society, taught operations management, kind of focusing on organizational behavior too, because it's related to my dissertation. I've also taught the capstone course, which is our strategic management class. And I've also taught the healthcare practicum in different summers. So that's a little bit about my teaching philosophy and the courses I've taught. As for research, I put this little graphic in here. Kind of goes along with my research, because what I like to know is I like to study people and why they do what they do and why they do some of the wrong things they're not supposed to do. As you can see in the little clip art here, that you've got an individual looking at a computer, staring at all the different things that we have that could be taking our time, whether it's social media or some other, shopping on the internet or something of that nature. And all of our work is stacking up over time. So my dissertation, what I looked at was when stealing time at work seems justified. And we looked at the influence of organizational justice on time banditry. And time banditry is kind of the key to where my research is and where it will be in the future, the pipeline here. And time banditry in a nutshell is basically time theft. So why do people steal time on the clock? So far, we focused on hourly workers. It's a little bit more difficult to do that when we look at salaried workers because of the times are not locked in at certain times. But so focus is on time theft. So some of the publications that I have already, I have one on social media and irreconcilable differences in the workplace. So we looked at how individuals portray themselves on social media, how it can impact their job, and how some people have lost their job because of social media posts. I've also collaborated with colleagues on big data management in the United States, some of the benefits and barriers. And then the papers that we have in progress are kind of more tied back to my dissertation, kind of the things I've been looking at. So we're looking at the effect of founder imprinting on firms, and can the employee tarnish it? So the founder will put his imprint on the organization, which basically leads to its reputation. And then what we're trying to study is, can employees tarnish that? So if you've seen in the media where some of these employees may post videos that are internal videos and things of that nature, how does that harm the organization? And then Kevin will be speaking next, and him and I are working on a paper we just presented at a conference, which is on abusive supervision and time banditry, a moderated mediated model, which looks at self-leadership in that moderator-mediator relationship. So some of the presentations that I've done, as I said, Kevin and I just collaborated on the Western Academy of Management. I've collaborated with other colleagues, Mark Solacey and Margie, with one at the Society for Advancement of Management last year, and then I presented at the LCOB Fall Research Day in 2019. Service over the years, I've been on different committees. I just picked a couple of them here to look at. One of the ones that I feel was valuable to me was the University Functions Committee. I was the chair of that committee. We were able to do a lot of things, get some signage put up in the Drinkle Library. We were able to recommend different speakers for graduation. I've also been involved in the DBA Task Force, and more recently, the DBA Launch Task Force, which I'm proud of our work on that and Kevin's on that also, you'll see here in a minute. We're interviewing the candidates, and like to say that management's the biggest, has the largest number of applications that have been accepted so far. And then I've also been on the undergraduate curriculum task force in the past. I've also been on other ones. As for service also, I'm highly involved in the community. I'm involved with my church and our church conference. I've also been involved with some local organizations. I've worked with companies, brought them into the classroom. We've worked with the MRDD over in Lawrence County. I've worked with Unlimited Futures Inc. So I've worked with some other individuals who were trying to launch products back in the capstone course a little while ago. And and also I've got kids, and I've been involved with, the soccer league. I've coached football, and I've been involved in all of those as a little bit of service to the community. So that's a little bit about me, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If not, my email address is halleck1@marshall.edu. Feel free to send me an email anytime, and we can talk about anything. Thank you. I'll turn it back over to Deepak.
Thank you, Jamey. Now, let me add one more thing. Jamey is a person with expertise in widest range of areas. If you see the topics he taught, he just didn't teach them. He basically he was basically expert in each of those areas. He teaches with great skill, passion, and everything. So nobody can be that expert in that many areas. So he's the kind of person I rely on so many ways because of the sheer volume of his expertise. I can fall back on him. That's the kind of person he is. Okay, so of course he has said so many